This is absolutely an unrestrained piece of conspiracy theory. Although, whether there's any veracity to the fact that it was planned to be this way or how it ended up this way, I still think nonetheless it's one we should think about or talk about. Now, what triggered this was I'd meant to do this for a while, this talk about Teletubbies and the effect it may have had on future generations. But tonight someone posted, one of my Facebook friends, an intro to a TV show that I watched as a kid. It was the first TV show I ever watched, called Wanderly Wagon on Irish TV. And it was a classic piece of healthy Irish surrealism. So it was almost like Joycean streams of consciousness for children, extremely healthy. Now let me play the video now, the intro to Wanderly Wagon now.
Here comes the wagon, Wanderly wagon, the most unusual wagon you've ever
Now, you see that video, you see my whole life. They go to a dolmen, it gets hit by lightning, they're transported to magical dimensions. The TV show had a talking crow who was kind of like a mystical figure, but he was kind of funny at the same time. There was other animals, talking animals in it. There was an elderly woman who was like the Shan Van Vugt, the wise old woman. There was a guy called O'Brien who was kind of like a gypsy, leading them on the Wanderly wagon into mystical dimensions of Celtic mysticism, Irish magic, Irish mysticism, dream times. You see it all in these. Watch the intro again. It's quite remarkable. That was a TV show that started in the 60s. It was what I was raised on as a toddler. The first thing I saw was that. Now, looking at that now, that has clearly affected me as an adult. I mean, I grew up in an urban area. I didn't grow up in the rural part of Ireland. So I wasn't exposed to dolmens or Celtic mysticism or anything like that. And there it all is there. It was not programmed, but it hit something in me as a child, being exposed to that TV show that kind of set a template for the rest of my life, things I was interested in. Now that brings us to things like Teletubbies, right? The Teletubbies began in the 80s. And even when I was first watching that, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Even as kids shows go. And I remember the first thing I said, they all look like they have some kind of disability. Or they're nun creatures. They have stupid names like La La and Twixie Poo and all these dopey names. And everything's like that. Everything's like, brain dead, lobotomized. They're genderless. Even the male one carries a little handbag. Now, looking back on that, you think to yourself, what did that produce? And then you think about that recent Creepy Kid video on the BBC channel about non-binary. I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl, that one. I'm non-binary. And a creepy creature, and creepy video, smug, obnoxious, vile. That's what it produced. Was it deliberate? Did they deliberately do this? I think to a certain extent they did. I think, and you have to remember, at the same BBC executives, they were enabling the like of Jimmy Savile to monstrously rape children at the BBC. So you were dealing with institutionalized, violent, sadistic pedophilia at the BBC. Now, what does a psychopath pedophile want most of all? Not so much a child who's a victim, they can get that anywhere, but a child who won't squeal to the parents and a parent who won't come and beat them up. So somehow in their subconscious minds, they decided, let's make the next generation of genderless sperm receptacles for the next generation of BBC child rapists and pederasts. And there you go. So they created them. They created kids who would just go, da, da, and you could stick a dick in them and they'd go home to their parents and say, what did you do with they? And he's ducky beep bee in me. And the father would go, beep bee. You know, and that's literally what it's coming to. That's what they did. Was the London School of Economics and the Fabian Society involved in this? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But you can actually see that the Teletubbies was designed to create sex blobs for the next generation of BBC paedophiles and pederasts. These insane, psychopathic child rapists who are entrenched into the BBC like woodlice are into a piece of rotting wood. So you think about that. You think about Teletubbies and how is it responsible for much of the personality disorders we have today? Kids who can't talk properly, can't relate properly, need safe spaces because words hurt, because when they were a little kid they were not exposed to anything that increased their imagination. It's just and little boys holding handbags. Is it any wonder that they're all obsessed with transgender? I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks of this video. I really don't. But all I know is that the children's TV that I grew up with served me better as a human being and later on to my adult life than garbage like Trixie Poo and La La.